Hello there, and welcome back to Real Reviews, your favorite movie review show. My name is Jamison Rabbit, and the man sitting next to me today is still working towards his dream of becoming a rockette. His name is Mike Roth.
It's the legs. It's all in the legs. You really need to get those calves going, and I can't fit in those shoes but it's working. It's working.
You got the gams for it, I know that.
People say, Mike, you're too old and you're a dude. But I'm saying I'm going to prove you wrong.
Dream a dream, Mike. Dream a big dream. Don't let anyone get in your way.
And we should have a track of Aerosmith doing Dream On in the background.
I don't think we can afford that.
Nope, we can't afford it.
You singing that is all we can afford.
I was treading on thin. Yeah.
So this week we have a few movies to discuss on the marquee, so let's get right into it. The first one I have for you, sir, is a movie from director Pablo Larraín. It is a biopic of a great woman, Jacqueline Kennedy. The movie is Jackie, starring Natalie Portman as the role of Jackie Kennedy.
I'm a little jealous, by the way.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And the movie is basically, it opens up, we have Jackie talking to a journalist and telling her tale of events surrounding her life in Camelot with JFK, obviously. And the movie is kind of broken up into three different sections. There's her giving this interview to this journalist played by Billy Crudup. You also have a flashback to this discussion that she's having with a priest played by John Hurt at a burial. And then you also have various footage and memories that are kind of thrown in throughout. But the movie is basically a lot of constant flashbacks. And most of it is surrounding the days around the assassination and the follow-up to that. And there's a lot of really stark visuals in this movie. You see right here, this is one of the big ones. I mean, you watch her washing the blood out of her hair from the assassination. There's also, it focuses on, it kind of picks some certain moments that are really well known, like the surreal moment of the swearing in of LBJ aboard the plane in Dallas, and Jackie's standing there still covered in the blood of her husband, watching LBJ be sworn in as the new president. The body of the former president is on the plane in the next room, and that whole surreal experience. And it deals with a lot of the loneliness of her returning home after all of this, returning home to the White House, and dealing with the loneliness and realizing that Camelot is over. And that, you know, the new administration and the new people, LBJ and all his people, are ready to move in. And she kind of feels marginalized a little bit and almost forgotten. And the big focus of the movie is Jackie trying to protect the legacy of her husband. And you know, she wants him to be remembered as a great man. She wants nothing but the best for him. And that's kind of a running theme throughout, is that he had always kind of given her guff that she always wanted the best things for the White House, and she was spending exorbitant amounts of money to have the finest things in the White House. And he was saying, you're going to bankrupt our country with all this stuff. And she just wanted to protect the legacy of the people who were presidents and of her husband. You also get Bobby Kennedy comes in, played by Peter Sarsgaard, and you get a lot of the battles that he and Jackie would have as they're both grieving, and you know, he's putting up the strong front for her and against certain things that people are fighting on her on, but they also bicker back and forth because she feels like he doesn't quite understand her. And there's a lot of really great moments in here. There's you know, her intense mourning that she goes through and the self-medicating that she goes through as she's trying to focus intensely on getting every little detail of this burial and funeral right. And should we have a procession? Should we not? And the Secret Service is saying it's not a good idea. And she's just going crazy with every tiny detail. And the movie itself is kind of scattershot in the way it tells this story.
Okay.
There's a lot of times where you're not 100% sure where in the timeline you're at. Was this weeks before? Is this weeks after? Is this days after? And Natalie Portman, there's been a lot of talk about her, you know, being nominated for Best Actress, possibly being the front runner for that. She's good, but there's a lot of moments in here where you realize it's Natalie Portman. There's moments where you're like, wow, she looks like Jackie. She falls into it. There's a lot of moments, though, where she doesn't, and you just see her acting. The rest of the cast, like Peter Sarsgaard, looks absolutely nothing like Robert Kennedy, and he doesn't really attempt an accent. And so it's kind of, you have to keep reminding yourself, that's supposed to be Bobby Kennedy. Okay. Oh, that guy's supposed to be LBJ, because he looks and sounds nothing like him.
Yeah.
And so the rest of the cast, it felt really weird that none of them really, there was no real effort to try and replicate. The guy they got in to play JFK for, a moment, Casper Philipson, looks strikingly like JFK, especially from profile.
Did they use him much? I mean,
he was in a few scenes. You do get the graphic moment of the assassination, and it's pretty gruesome. And really, this is more the movie about her and her being the stoic one and being the self-assured one, and kind of makes you realize that she was also a very young woman. She was a young mother.
Yep.
They were the face of a nation. This Camelot is a theme that keeps being put out there. And that they had built this version of Camelot, and it was taken after less than 3 years. And that she, as this young mother, also had lost 2 children. She had a husband who wasn't faithful, and ultimately a husband who was taken right before her eyes as she's trying to hold his head together.
She lost a child while in the White House, correct?
Yes, she had one she had a miscarriage, and then she had one that died after a few days. And then, and she knew that what JFK was doing on the side, and she says, she had a great quote in this movie of, sometimes he had to go out into the desert to meet the devil just to say that he could. And like, well, that's just horrible. I mean, that's just justifying something. And so she was trying to be strong. And there's a lot of great moments in here. And a lot of the movie is dealing with legacy. And it got me thinking what the legacy of this film would be.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a film that you look back on in a few years ago. That was one of the great biopics. That was one of the great stories. I think in the moment, it's fine, and there's some cool moments, and there's some nice performances. But in the end, the movie itself, I think, is kind of forgettable. It's unfortunate.
That's too bad.
It is.
Usually Natalie Portman picks really good roles. Except for, I would say, that thing she did with George Lucas.
Well, a lot of times she exceeds the movie. I think she was better in Black Swan than the movie was itself.
Yes.
She does that a lot. She elevates things. And I think she tried to elevate this, but I think that there was just too much going against her in that there was a lot of really, really annoying musical choices put in this movie, too, that really pulled you out of it for no reason at all. So ultimately, I gave it 3 out of 5 stars.
Oh. I mean, that's good.
It was good, not great.
Nah.
I was hoping for a lot better, though.
All right. Well, I'm no longer jealous.
Fair enough.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I want to see it, but you know, it's
you don't have to rush to it.
All right. Cool.
What do you have for us?
Cool. Well, I have a spectacular movie.
Uh-huh.
Of course, all video game movies are good, but some excel over others. And it's Assassin's Creed. We have Justin Kurzel. He directs. Based on the video game Assassin's Creed. It's been a huge hit. We have Michael Fassbender play the character of Cal Lynch, or Aguilar.
His ancestor Aguilar.
Yeah. The science of this is really goofy. I'm going to explain the science. What we have is this breakthrough in technology where they're able to grab an ancestor of someone from history and relive those historic moments. But they have to hook up the ancestor to a machine, and then they have to act out everything that the past person has. Now,
you following all this?
This isn't a movie where they're going back in time to change events.
No.
This is just
reliving the event.
Reliving the event, but for some reason, the director makes you feel like Michael Fassbender actually had some free will. But that's not how the machine works.
Basically just reliving the memories of his ancestor
while
hooked up to this animus machine.
To this machine, and you're like, oh, wow, he's doing all this fighting, but all he's doing is recreating the moments. Michael Fassbender, he is a great ancestor of an assassin who lived during the time of the Spanish Inquisition, I believe.
Yes, just shortly after, yeah.
Now, the Templars, they want to get a hold of the apple that had the seeds of will, the apple of Eden. And Michael Fassbender had to find out where it is by recreating the role or the memory of his great ancestor. And really, they spent way too much time trying to talk to us about that. Really, there isn't much of a story. It's just them trying to explain how this whole creation works. The parts that you are really interested in, what the game is popular for, they don't really concentrate on much. They show a lot in the previews,
Sure.
but majority of the cool scenes, the running and the jumping, the parkour, the fighting, that is always interrupted by segments of Michael Fassbender hooked up to this machine, flying around, doing all this stuff.
Jeremy Irons just giving way too much exposition.
And with parkour, you really want to watch the full thing. You want to see the beginning to the end, the seamless stuff. I think La La Land did better with parkour, and that's not known for parkour. It was just in one dance scene.
That's a good point.
Than what Assassin's Creed has done with it, because it was constantly cut. And fast forward to Michael Fassbender stuck in this machine. I think looking at it was nice. They did have a good eye for dramatic and something deep. But unfortunately, this movie is not deep. Well, tell me what you thought about it.
There was way too much exposition going on. Look, I love Marion Cotillard more than anyone, and I thought she did her best in this movie to make it interesting. But the moments that you wanted were just bursts of action. For the most part, it was a fairly quiet, boring flick, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And you would get bursts of action that were exciting. You'd be like, yeah, this is what I want to see. But unfortunately, I mean, Fassbender and Cotillard just could not save it. And every time Jeremy Irons came on screen to just give more and more exposition and this is what the Knights Templar are going to do, and I didn't care. I enjoyed the moments when he was Aguilar and he was out there with Maria, his partner, and they're doing a lot of cool things that looked like the game. There's a lot of scaffolding going on. They spent a lot of money on CGI scaffolding in this movie. But they managed to take a really exciting game and make it a boring movie.
Yeah, they really did, and it's a shame. You did have some good actors in here. You had Brendan Gleeson. He played Cal Lynch's father, but that felt like it went nowhere. In the opening scene where he's dressed like the assassin, it's like, okay, why? What? I mean, this is supposed to be memory. It had no sense at all. You had Michael Kenneth Williams, who played the guy who was also in the same. He wasn't even in the same time period. He wasn't supposed to be.
They never truly explained what the rest of those prisoners were there for.
No, but they knew they wanted to stop the Aguilar character. They tried their best to explain this movie, but the science is wonky. The idea is silly. Knowing that they're just going back in history to relive something, there is absolutely felt like there was really no climax to it.
No.
Because everything that's happening was going to happen just the way it was.
Yeah, the stakes were not there because you're not changing anything.
They just want information to where this apple was. And I really didn't buy the whole idea of if you get the apple, you can make world peace because you take away people's free will.
Yeah.
They didn't hit that home at all.
Yeah.
This movie... fun fact, it was an hour and 48 minutes. It was supposed to be 2 hours and 20 minutes.
I could not have sat there for 2 hours and 20 minutes.
I felt like it was 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Unless it was
really
another 30 minutes of pure action, and they just decided to cut all that out for some reason?
If they cut out all the good parkour, which...
We cut out all the parts that remind you of the game, and we just gave you a bunch of talking.
Yeah.
How about that?
Woohoo!
Yeah. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked Fassbender, I liked Cotillard, I liked some parts of it, but ultimately he was really flat.
I give it a 1.5. I thought this was dull, and even if I liked the art direction and I liked the actors, it really did not do much where I would want to see this movie.
No. Don't need a sequel, don't need to see
I don't need to see the extended version of this. I'm done with it.
No, absolutely. The next movie we have on the marquee is the final animated movie of 2016. We have Sing. Sing is focused on a koala bear, voiced by Matthew McConaughey, who has a dream. He has a dream to run this theater, and His name is Moon, and he's just trying to keep this theater going after watching it fail. And the basic theme of this movie is everyone has dreams. Dream big dreams and keep chasing after them.
Like my dream of the Rockettes.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so Moon is about to lose his theater, and he decides to put on a talent show, and he taps into the talent and the dreamers that are in his town to try and save the theater. And you've got a ton of voice talent. You have Reese Witherspoon as the pig you see there. She is the housewife. You have Seth MacFarlane doing his usual jazz crooner. Scarlett Johansson is this hedgehog punk rock girl. John C. Reilly is kind of the slacker friend of his. You've got a ton of actors in this, and there's a lot of really fun pairings of the animals and their voices and their musical choices, because there's a ton of songs in this movie.
Oh, I bet. It's called Sing.
You're right. And there's a ton of them just doing modern songs. And it's a lot of Moon kind of trying to rally the troops and, telling people, do what you love to do. Don't let fear get in the way of what you love to do. Just chase after it. And there's a good message here. The story is pretty basic. The story is, you've seen this a million times. Hey, let's try and save the such and such, so let's put on a talent show. Let's put on something to save the old rec hall, or to save the YMCA, or whatever. And so we put on a talent show, and hopefully it's successful. There's some fun moments between different characters and their motivations, and there's some fun music. Ultimately, the movie itself isn't anything spectacular. It's good. It's enjoyable. I think this year, 2016, has been a pretty spectacular year for animated movies.
I completely agree.
With Zootopia and Moana and Kubo, to a lesser extent, Dory and Trolls. And Sing falls right in there with it. I think it's a lot of fun, and it'll get you tapping your toes. And Matthew McConaughey, it's his second one of the year. He's doing all right with that. And yeah, it was fine. I gave it 3 stars. I was hedging between 3 and 3.5.
Okay.
But yeah, it falls in line with another, caps off 2016 very admirably for the animated movies.
Yeah, I completely agree. I've been thinking about this for a couple of weeks now. It's like, what is this year going to be known as? And it's just been a spectacular year for animation. I'd say
bad summer movies and good animated movies.
Yeah, I'd say a lot of abundance of animated movies are on my top 10 so far this, and you usually don't see that.
Yeah, no, it's they really pull it off this year. What's the last movie we have on the marquee, sir?
Last movie we have is Passengers. This is Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence, directed by Morton Tylam. What we have is there's a ship, and people are colonizing other planets. But of course, it takes a long time to get from point A to point B. So everybody piles into this spaceship. They get put under, and in theory, everything's supposed to be great until they get to their destination 120 years later.
Hopefully this isn't the Titanic.
But unfortunately, there is a malfunction, and Chris Pratt, he wakes up thinking he's almost to his destination, but he's a little bit early, like 90 years early.
Yeah.
Pretty much he's too far away from Earth, where he tries to communicate with them, but he wouldn't get the message back until another 34 years, so that is kind of a unlucky thing for him. So he just kind of suffers being alive, being the only one on this ship. His only companion would be the bartender, who's an animatronic, really only a man from the top up, named Arthur. Yeah. And of course he's a robot. He's something. He's something. It's not a real person. After a year of extreme loneliness, Jim, he becomes a little suicidal. Not a lot. Yeah. I mean, super suicidal. Yeah. He then becomes creepy as he picks up a hobby of snooping into the lives of everybody who is under this sleeping.
They're in
hibernation. And he gets a crush on Jennifer Lawrence.
He becomes obsessed.
Obsessed with Aurora. And of course, it becomes the, well, what would you do scenario. Do you totally kill this person by waking them up 90 years too early, where they're going to die on the ship, with you, a complete stranger, or do you just suffer loneliness until it's become suicidal? He chooses.
He issues her a death sentence.
Death sentence.
Yeah.
Wakes her up, and she thinks it's a malfunction, just like it, and well, they fall in love. Just the Titanic story.
Oh boy. How exciting.
There's a couple of things I really liked about this movie. One is it kind of mixes a bunch of movies that I already like. I like Castaway. I like Chris Pratt. I think he's great. I like Titanic. I know that's not a movie that you have no clue on. Someday we'll get you to do it. I know we'll have to.
We'll see.
We got a while until this is all done.
I'm sure of it.
And I really liked the whole climax up to the point where I believe some producers said, hey, we need some more action in this. We want this to be a big finish. And then things got wonky to the point where it's destroyed a lot of what they were building up.
Yeah, I really enjoyed a lot of the themes within this movie. Watching the inner turmoil with Chris Pratt and watching both he and Aurora struggle with the stages of grief when you realize, you know, they both follow the same stages of reasoning and bargaining and just accepting and all this. And him trying to find a reason to live while he's stranded alone in space. I liked that. I don't think Chris Pratt was as good alone as he could have been. Like, Sam Rockwell in Moon was tremendous. Yeah. You mentioned Castaway. Matt Damon in The Martian. These were spectacular roles of people being alone. I thought Chris Pratt was a little kind of trying to find his footing. It was when he awoke Aurora, and their relationship, they had a really good chemistry. He and Jennifer Lawrence have a really good chemistry on screen.
It didn't really help the cosmetics part. That wig and that beard was horrendous. It's really hard to take someone seriously when, but anyhow.
You know, he's surrounded by people. There's 5,000 people surrounding him. They're all asleep. You're totally alone. Yeah. And, you know, the turmoil of do I issue this death sentence to this girl because I'm lonely? And this weird, and he basically becomes a sociopath and wakes her up. Yeah. And you see this relationship built on deceit. Yeah. You know, she thinks everything's good and that they're both in this together knowing the same things. And the turmoil when she finds out that, wait a minute, you did this to me? And all of that, I really, really enjoyed. And it was from the moment that Lawrence Fishburne showed up that it felt like the movie completely turned into something else. And it felt like they needed to make it standard Hollywood action movie. Yeah. And they followed some of the same tropes. And it just fell apart for me.
I didn't mind that Lawrence Fishburne was part of it.
No, but it was kind of from that moment where he had to give a bunch of exposition about the ship, and then now we've got to do this to save the thing. You know, and there's a lot of things that, like, they're wrecking shop on this ship. There's no consequences. Like, they're just eating everything and doing whatever. Like, there's still 5,000 people that are going to wake up. And now you've kind of just destroyed everything on this ship, trying to save yourselves. Mr. Spock would not find that logical.
No, he would not.
2, do not overwhelm the 5,000. You know, and what he did to her, I struggled with what I thought of Chris Pratt. I did not like his character for a large chunk of this movie because what he did was tantamount to, like, not telling a partner that you have AIDS. Yeah. Until afterwards, be like, oh, by the way, you're probably going to die.
It was difficult for me to put myself in the mindset of Chris Pratt, Jim's character. Yeah. I mean, they did try to show you a lot of his inner turmoil to the point where he gets to that suicide scene. Yeah. And I actually felt a lot of emotion when it came down to that scene of he just wants it to end, but he can't because it's human nature to try to survive. But they lost
all of that character development in the final 25 minutes of the movie. Yeah. They threw it all out and the characters became very stupid. And you're just watching.
The scenarios became really stupid.
And you're watching the movie kind of hopscotch from one well-known space survival trope to another. Yeah. And I'm just like, I was begging, give me something different at the end. Don't give me the end I think you're going to give me.
And a lot of the science, you can't watch something like this and go, wow, this is actual science. But some of the science in here everybody should know if it's so hot in a room where you can't touch something because it's hot, everything is hot. Yeah. People are hot. Yeah. But or if it's something so cold that it burns your skin when you touch it, you're going to see breath. You're going to see frost. Everybody's going to be cold. I mean, it's stupid little science stuff that they just decided they were going to throw out in order to make it very action-packed. and it was unfortunate because it really had a good thing going up to a certain point.
I agree. What did you ultimately give Passengers?
I gave Passengers a 2.5. It would have been a lot higher if I didn't finish the movie.
Yeah.
If I walked out a little early, I'm busy, I gotta go get popcorn and take off, I would have given it a lot higher.
My score has really fluctuated since I saw the movie a few days ago. It's kind of gone up and down, kind of all over the place. And I settled more or less, I think, on a 3.5, a low 3.5, closer to a 3, because I really did enjoy what I got for the first hour. I liked what they were setting up. And it really upsets me how they didn't pay it off and how they just kind of scrapped the payoff.
There was one other thing I forgot to mention. This was the movie I saw in 3D. And this might have also helped with my score being a little on the low side. It really did not use the 3D function very well. And you think space movies after Gravity, that it should be where it's excelling, but no. I think a lot of people, they're just using 3D as something that they pump through a computer and hopefully make a couple extra bucks on.
That's kind of what it is.
And it's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate. All right, those are the movies we had on the marquee for this week. Let's take a quick look ahead at what is coming soon. Coming out soon, we have Silence, the new movie starring Liam Neeson, Andrew Garfield, and Adam Driver about three priests. One goes missing in Japan, and the two of them must go looking for him.
Liam Neeson is the one that's looking for him, because that's his MO.
Well, no. He's the one. He goes missing. The other two, the young priests must find him.
Totally different movie I was thinking.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting to me. And also we have Hidden Figures, a movie about 3 African-American ladies who are integral parts of the early space missions getting John Glenn into space, and the way they use their brains to get him in there is the story we're telling.
They've been doing a good job at promoting that trailer. It has fun music in it, and it looks serious, but looks like it has some comedy in it.
Looks like it's good.
Yeah.
Before we leave you, we have some sad news to report today. Unfortunately, as we're recording today, we find out that we have lost Carrie Fisher. It has been a rough year. 2016 has been brutal for losing celebrities and people that you may have enjoyed. Carrie Fisher is a big one for me. Growing up, I mean, for our generation, she was a big one. She was Princess Leia.
And we were talking before the show came on. We missed David Bowie. We lost Prince.
We lost Alan Rickman. We just George Michael the day before, and it seemed that Carrie Fisher was in the clear. She had her heart attack, and it seemed that she was going to be all right, and you kind of breathe easy on that, and then we lose her.
George Michael too.
Yeah, and it's sad. Carrie Fisher was a hero.
Yeah, she was. She's major part of our Hollywood lives.
She was my first Hollywood crush.
Yeah.
Her and Linda Carter were kind of the big ones.
Mine was Morticia Addams.
Nice.
But
and it was great. She went through some hard times for a while. And it was great seeing her back in the role of Princess Leia last year, and they had plans for her going forward with Episode 8. Yeah. And it's just unfortunate. It's bittersweet that she was able to come back into the role that we all loved her in. Yeah. Was able to kind of get that. It's just sad to see her go at 60. So.
Thoughts and prayers going out to her friends and family.
Absolutely. Sad to see. Before we leave you, though, of course, we have to make a horrible transition, but thank our sponsor, Marcus Theaters.
That sounded horrible.
I know. You had nothing to do with this, guys. Sorry. Marcus Theaters, the Palace here in Sun Prairie, thank you for sponsoring the show. We do appreciate it. If you want to find more from us, you can like us and follow us on Facebook and or Twitter. Real Reviews TV at Real Reviews TV. We'll get you where you need to go. You can find more from us. Go to sunprairiemediacenter.com. You can find all of our previous shows on demand there. Next week, we're going to be coming at you talking about why him and fences. But until that time, my name is Jamison.
I'm Mike Roth.
Thanks for watching.